Ensemble 1. We're lucky to have 3 jazz ensemble groups here at Sanford High School, and this group meets during the school day. All 3 of our groups, and this one included, were able to compete a couple months ago at the state level, and the group on the stage received a silver medal for their state jazz performance, so a round of applause for that. We also had 2 students that were awarded an Outstanding Musicianship Award, and they were Jason Gassingway and Tim McGee. Tim is somewhere out there. Our Jazz Ensemble 2 received a bronze medal, and numerous students received a rating of 1 on their solos, which is the highest possible rating. So this group today is going to play 2 tunes for you. One of them is just a jam tune that we've been playing called Cantaloupe Island by Herbie Hancock. So we're just here to jam and have fun. And then the second and last tune that we're going to do for you is called Afternoon Nap, which is always what I want to do when we play this song in class. And that was one of our state tunes that we revived for this concert. So I hope you enjoy the Sanford High School Jazz Ensemble 1. there's one more thing of jazz for you. Our jazz combo meets mostly on their own, and this entire season, Tim arranged, you arranged all of the pieces? Yes. Tim arranged all of the pieces for this group. And these guys had a really fantastic journey this season about just learning the jazz form and solos and different variations on how they could change things up. So there was one piece that they really, really, really wanted to play for you, and so here's the one piece that they really, really wanted to play for you. Do you want to talk anymore?
So the piece we're about to play for you is by one of my favorite brands. It's Hypnotic Brass Ensemble. They're a group of brothers based in New York City. Do you know off the top of your head where the brothers are based? Chicago? Chicago. They're based in Chicago, and they're just like a group of brothers who do brass stuff, and they make up their own things. And this is a piece of theirs called Mars. It's one of my favorite pieces, and I think this is the favorite of the ones we played at Jazz States. I think you'll enjoy it. I hope you'll enjoy it. And yeah, is that it? Awesome. Jason, tuning. you think?
Well, in front of you now is the Honors Wind Ensemble. So this is an auditioned group here that we have at Sanford High School, and these students not only play the concert band literature, but they also prepare a separate program and typically play harder literature a grade or two above what the concert band is playing. So these guys work extra hard and learn almost double the music. So we just have 2 pieces for you this evening, and I would like to invite one of our students up to speak about our first piece, because he's been asking me to play it for 4 years.
Hello, everybody. Are you enjoying tonight? Awesome. Our next piece is 1812 by Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky. It was a commission written to mark the consecration of the Cathedral of Christ the Savior, which was being built to thank God and honor the Russians in their victory over the French in the War of 1812. I'm going to explain it because I'm a huge nerd. The victory is not a typical one. See, the French marched straight from the Duchy of Warsaw, straight to the capital of the Russian Empire, Moscow. The Russians retreated and burned everything as they did, leaving the French with nothing. When France got to Moscow, they burned everything. Napoleon sat there in Moscow for about 5 weeks, demanding a surrender from the Tsar, who retreated to St. Petersburg, which never came. The fatigued army of Napoleon realized they had no supplies or anything to take, as it was all burnt. And the 600,000 men who occupied Moscow began to retreat. The walls closed on them, and only about 100,000 escaped with their lives. Napoleon's reign was coming to an end. God save the Tsar.
Our wind ensemble's next and final piece is by the renowned 20th century composer Gustav Holst. This is the same Holst who created the orchestral suite, The Planets, of which the most famous piece is Jupiter, for those who recognize the name. Please enjoy Intermezzo.
This is the concert band. They are our largest curricular ensemble. These students actually rehearse in 2 separate blocks throughout the day, and they've only played together maybe twice? 3 times. 3 times. So, pretty crazy when you think about it like that. This group does have the immense honor next year of being selected to perform in the 2026 Salute to America Parade in Philadelphia for America's 250th birthday. So the band will spend 2 days in Philadelphia seeing some of the most historic sites in our nation's history before performing in the Philadelphia Parade and then heading to Washington, D.C. to also perform in the National Independence Day Parade in D.C. Sign-ups for this trip are ongoing and they've been communicated through Infinite Campus, but if you do have any questions or if you need any information, please email me because the sign-ups close on Sunday. So do that soon, please. Jason, I invite you back.
Hello, everyone. Did you miss me? Next up, we have a piece called The Fire of Eternal Glory, better known as Novorossiysk Chimes. It was written by Dmitry Shostakovich in 1960 for the memorial of the city of Novorossiysk. It was originally written to contest the anthem of the USSR. The city of Novorossiysk is a port city on the Black Sea. During World War II, the Germans took the port in 1942 and held it until 1943, when the Marines of the Red Army retook it at a high yet necessary cost to take access of it away from the Germans.
Okay, next, it is my pleasure to welcome Tim McGee to the podium to conduct his own piece that he wrote in its world premiere. Would you like to speak?
Thank you. Surprise! So this is a piece I started working on last year. I was in Miss F's music theory class, actually, and I had unrestricted access to the wonderful world of MuseScore. And I decided I'm going to start composing a piece. Around that time, we had been working on, we had been working on this piece by Miss Hastings, is it? She'd made the State of Maine March, which is her own piece based on the national anthem of the state of Maine. National anthem? The anthem of the state of Maine. It's not important. And when we were doing that march, I was like, man, I want to write something like this. So I sat down over the course of like a summer and a fall and a little bit of this year, I think. I can't really remember. It's been a bit of a blur. I wrote something inspired by the works of like John Philip Sousa, if you know like the Stars and Stripes Forever, those kinds of works. Some things pulled intentionally or unintentionally from other works. And I'm very proud of not only the work that I've done, but especially of these guys behind me. They've put in so much work for something that I've done, and I'm really proud of them. They've come such a long way. I would thank a bunch of them individually because they helped me out with the creation of this, and I also sent a few of them like the music and was like, hey, is this possible? And they went, yeah. And thanks, guys. But that's, I don't have the time for that. I'm talking for a while, so I should probably get up there and conduct. But I hope you like it. World premiere. You can watch us later on WSSR-TV. I don't know where they are, but their cameras are probably somewhere. Woo!
Okay, we got one more for you. Before we do that, I would like to recognize our seniors quickly. If you are a senior, could you please stand up? I think these guys have been here since freshman year, besides Tim, which is crazy. Tim got here like 2 years ago in the music program. Yeah. So everybody else has been here since my first year, and they've seen this music department and this band transform, and they're a large part of it, so they're going to be very, very missed. And I have all the sappy things to say to you too, but I will save that for the band room and not here, because I think we all probably want to go home soon. So, love you guys, you're so great. Sit down. Before we do our last piece, I would like to do a few thank yous quickly. Thank you to the Visual Arts Department here for putting together a fabulous art show this evening. I'm so glad that we're able to collaborate and do this together at the spring concert. Thank you to our Sanford Music Boosters for their continued support of our district's music programs. Thank you to the Sanford School Department Administration for allowing us to do all kinds of crazy things and to put these lovely concerts together. Thank you to my colleague, Ryan Geary. It is a pleasure to share an office with you sometimes. Thank you to the parents, family, and teachers who support these students in their musical journeys. Now more than ever, music education is a vital part of public education, and your support and just showing up tonight means so much to your students and to your music teachers that are here on stage. So thank you so much. I think I have 2 students who would like to speak about our last piece, and then we'll play our last piece.
So, America was written by Stephen Sondheim and Leonard Bernstein, is a song from the 1957 musical West Side Story.
The song talks about the challenges of navigating life in a new country. In West Side Story, Anita has a positive, optimistic view of America. Bernardo, however, explains the reality of America, talking about discrimination and inequality. The song is Anita and the girls going back and forth with Bernardo and the boys about America.
The song features a 3/4 clave pattern along with an upbeat, fast-paced rhythm, and we hope you enjoy.
One more thing for the record. For some reason, I've programmed a West Side Story song every year that I've been here. I like the musical. I'm waiting for Mr. Williams to do West Side Story, since we've done like half the pieces at this point, so.